Hello, I'm Samantha and welcome to my channel. In 1939 through to the early 40s, as the world reeled with the shock of World War II, sewing pattern magazines were produced, giving away free sewing patterns, but they were often just a few simple pattern pieces with very simple instructions and with no markings on those pattern pieces. Yet home sewers of the era knew how to take these simple patterns and adapt them creatively, working with what fabrics and trimmings they had. Today, I'm sewing one of these dresses using a free pattern from Sewing Pattern magazine of that early World War II era to discover just how much skill and imagination went into making everyday fashion during this pivotal moment in history. I used a fine vintage wool from Donna Flower Fabrics printed with primroses for early spring, and as you can see, I found the pattern pieces so fragile. And these are the pattern pieces, and you can see how fragile they are. They're literally crumbling away. So I'm going to make this version here with the lace-up bodice. I'm going to start by really carefully tracing out these pattern pieces, and you can see the basic shapes of the pattern pieces. And to give the dress shape, I referred to the pattern magazine for the details that were illustrated as a way to create shape and interest for the garment. So one of the main ways that they created a shape and flattered the figure was the use of shirring, and that's what I decided to do to give shape to the yoke and the back of the dress and to the waistline. You can see here I've given shape to the dress with the lines of shirring, which you could also see in the magazine pages was a really popular way to create decorative detail and just subtly shape the bodice. And if I pull the dress down, also to show you the shoulder pads that I put in. They are triangular ones. You often see triangular shoulder pads in true vintage dresses, and they're really good. I'll show you. For sleeves that have dart details, the fullness of the sleeve comes from these radiating darts, and the triangle that I've sewn reaches into the ends of those darts because it's shaped into the sleeve head like that. There isn't fullness over the shoulder. It just supports a really good wide puffy sleeve. And for the sleeve darts, there were no markings on the pattern. The instructions were just to create 2-inch darts in length to the outer edges. There were 6 darts in all, so I just placed them either side of the shoulder seam. And then I have my hand embroidered eyelets at the front of the dress, and I might actually stitch that to form a nice bow at some point. And the black just picks up on the black details there of the primroses. And then the belt likewise has the hand embroidered eyelets and the ribbon crisscrossed in to hold those front edges together. And the instructions were very explicit that there shouldn't be any gap in the belt, but neither should it overlap. So there will be 2 dress reveals. The first reveal will be around spotting, as I'm sure you will easily do, how the dress could be improved. And I made quite a few alterations to the dress after seeing the footage from the first reveal, both to the fit and to the decorative details.
Underneath the lantern by the barricade, darling, I remember the way you used to wait. 'Twas there that you whispered tenderly that you loved me. You'd always be my lily of the lamplight.
you can see how the belt was just too loose, and the instructions were to create the belt to exactly fit so that the front didn't overlap and there was no space either. And the problem with that is that, I don't know about you, but my midriff does not remain exactly the same size, even during one day, let alone from one day to the next. So I created the belt, it was too loose. So one of the real issues was how to actually put the belt on. So it meant loosening all the ribbon ties, which were in hand-worked eyelets, stepping into the belt and pulling it up a bit. So quite a palaver. So what I decided to do was to take apart the belt, get into it, and I cut it into two pieces down the back, put in a small amount of elastic each side of the back, just to give me, say, an inch, perhaps inch or two of leeway, put on weight, lose weight, and then I put in a hook and eye fastening down the back, so that's much easier to put on the adjustments I made to the belt. So I took it apart, I put in darts at each side just to taper the belt into my waist, and then I actually sewed the front edges down so they meet perfectly, and I cut the center of the belt at the back and added, show you, some elastic just here, just get that little extra amount if I put on or lose weight, or indeed just eat a large meal, and that's either side of the belt, that little extra elastic bit. And then I put these hooks and eyes into the belt. It's just much easier to put on rather than having to climb into it. And when I came to look at the footage, I also thought the dress looked a little plain, and I decided to use, I had some fabric scraps left over. I had a good bit of fabric left over. I didn't want to cut into that because it's enough to make maybe something very small, short sleeve blouse or something, a very simple short sleeve blouse. But with the scraps, I decided to make a frill for the hem of the dress and to go around the cuffs and to add ribbon around the cuffs. The dress pattern just had elastic. I added these little extra cuffs, and then with the green ribbon trim, that's also echoed at the hem. I used the scraps left over from the project to create a long ruffle that I sewed around the hem, and then I just sewed the green ribbon over as well, just to add that little extra decorative touch. And those kind of details from scraps, if you had them, would be a typical way during the war years that they would add interest to a dress, because you didn't want any scrap of fabric going to waste. And the other decorative details I added, as well as the frills, where I had their true 1930s vintage velvet flower, which I formed into a little corsage for the neckline. The finishing touch was to add these velvet millinery, they're anemones rather than primroses, and they are true vintage from the era. They are 1930s millinery velvet flowers, and I just made this little corsage to attach to one side. And of course, as we know, corsages like this were so popular at this time, just as a way of adding a really pretty finishing touch to a garment. And as we can see from the magazine, that was also a very popular way to add prettiness and interest to a dress.
Underneath the lantern by the barricade, darling, I remember the way you used to wait. 'Twas there that you whispered tenderly that you loved me, you'd always be my lily of the lamplight, my own Lily Marlene. Time would to part. Darling, I'd caress you and press you to my heart. And there, neath that far-off lantern light, I'd hold you tight, we'd kiss goodnight, my lily of the lamplight, my own Lily Marlene. Orders came for sailing somewhere over there. All confined to barracks was more than I could bear. I knew you were waiting in the street. I heard your feet, but could not meet my lily of the lamplight, my own Lily Marlene. Resting in a billet just behind the line, even though we're parted, your lips are close to mine. You wait where that lantern softly gleams, your sweet face seems to haunt my dreams, my lily of the lamplight, my own Lily Marlene. My lily of the lamplight, my own Lily Marlene.
So thank you very much for watching me make my dress. If you're thinking, I wouldn't mind to look through that vintage sewing pattern magazine, I am still in the process of colorizing it. It's taking a while, but that will be with you soon to have a good look through all those sewing patterns and fashion ideas from this early World War II era. So I shall look forward to seeing you next time, and thank you for joining me. Bye.
Underneath the lantern by the barrack gate, darling, I remember the way you used to wait. 'Twas there that you whispered tenderly that you loved me, you'd always be my lily of the lamplight, my own Lily Marlene. Time would come for roll call, time for us to part. Darling, I'd caress you and press you to my heart. And there, neath that far-off lantern light, I'd hold you tight, we'd kiss goodnight, my